I'm sure the question you'll have is a simple one. What is the limbo? First of all, if this is the first recording you are listening to in this collection, I must redirect you to the older one, as that one explains the events of the limbo and the role of these recordings. Before I get to the point of this recording, I must begin with a mandatory disclaimer that I've received in light of my previous recordings' feedback from my supervisors. These recordings are the official property of the Limbo Response and Prevention Unit. Any opinions stated do not reflect the organisation at large and only the one being recorded itself. In other news, the one talking right now. In the event you disagree on something stated by an official representative, please discard those opinions for your safety and well-being in 3, 2, 1. I apologise for getting all official there for a moment, but due to the feedback from my supervisors and specifically about my overly casual manner of speaking upon such a serious topic, it is really just a formality. Despite my casual manner, please keep in mind that these are very much recommended to listen to for your safety. These recordings and the L.R.P.U at large exist to prevent casualties in the event of the limbo occurring once again, and these are important. Regardless, with that out of the way, I can now begin the actual purpose of this recording, and I apologise in advance. This is the testimony of one Clara Fuller regarding the events of the 28-hour-long period known as the Limbo, as well as their whereabouts and experiences during that same period. Limbo alias, blackout. Limbo populace, displaced individual, 1. Limbo notable features. Clara Fuller appeared in their limbo while asleep, and seems to have appeared in a limbo which is noted to be consistent with other limbos that were transported from sleep or otherwise unconscious state. Notably, it was pitch black, with the individual forcing to rely on touch and sound to get around. The individual also mentioned that they only noticed something was wrong because of a sudden wake-up, in addition to suddenly standing upright, which they assured was not how they usually sleep, noting that they sleep on a bed, sideways, like a normal person. There can be two main points taken away from this displacement. 1. The limbo appeared seems to reflect the displaced current state in some form, and 2. The state you appear in the limbo does not seem to work the same, with the individual reportedly staying still on the ground in a curled up position until some time passed, before eventually going back to sleep and waking up in bed. They were convinced that it was just some odd dream until they turned on the news that morning. This is one of the better limbos. No harm, no trauma, just an odd event and a hindsight realization. They weren't all like this, as I'm sure you're aware. Miss Fuller was very lucky. This is the testimony of one Oliver Point regarding the 28-hour-long period of the limbo, as well as their whereabouts and experiences during that same period. Limbo alias, film reel. Limbo populace, displaced individual, 1. The outer focus, unknown, estimated to be roughly 8 billion. Limbo notable features. Oliver Point appeared in their limbo while recording a video. A unique experience due to the fact while many people are being recorded, this individual was actually doing the recording. They described their limbo as blurry, as what I can imagine looking around without glasses looks like. End quote. Important to note that the individual does not wear glasses. Another note being that the section of the limbo that was within the camera lenses was within focus and visible as normal and could be interacted with the same, while everywhere not in focus could not be interacted with in any form. The individual proceeded to move around their limbo using the camera to bring any objects they required into focus. After finding their way out of the studio by using this method, the individual brought the camera towards a blurry person who was still and silent, intending to free them. However, as the camera was brought up to the person, who was decidedly not human, but some kind of angered beast, who proceeded to lunge at Oliver, who then, out of shock, turned the camera away from the beast, and, I quote, "The instant it was out of focus, it turned still." Oliver, who described these things as the out of focus in our report, quickly returned to their studio in an attempt to wait out the event. This is notable due to the fact that the individual proceeded to get hungry while waiting, which in our reports is a surprisingly rare occurrence during the Limbo's proceedings. The individual was able to get through it due to various snack-based foods inside of their studio. This report brings up another two important points. First off, it is not impossible to get hungry or fatigued inside a limbo. Our reports indicate that it appears more likely within limbos that have a more urban structure or resemble our world in some architectural form, and more importantly, by the existence of these out of focus. We are not necessarily alone in these places, and that may not be a good thing. This limbo was chosen in direct comparison to the previous one. Both had some odd effect, pure darkness or unfocused, and both appeared to be based around varying degrees of lack of sight, and also around the current action of its displaced person, sleeping or recording. But I think it is the second limbo which is more poignant, as it gives credence to the idea that those who were unfortunate enough not to return from their limbos, if they are alive, might not be alone. It isn't a very comforting thought. But that is the point of these recordings. It may not always be comforting, but sometimes it is just the reality of the situation. And my role here isn't to provide a sense of comfort or even security, but knowledge. Signing off. There. Is that better? No personal stories, no getting off track. Does that fit the organizational recording more appropriately? Who knows if these things are even listened to? These recordings don't do anyone any good anyway.